Another key topic from our session 1 of Thriving Congregations is about the 5 learnings that we distilled from the Thriving Congregations initiative that Vibrant Faith did through the Lilly Foundation. And this was where, after they had done a cycle of innovative projects for 3 to 4 years, we kind of met with them afterwards and kind of said, trying to, again, distill those learnings. And what came up time and time again across the 24 different congregations we worked with is they realized that they were over-programmed. That, first of all, they couldn't, because they were over-programmed, they actually didn't have enough time to actually go deeper with relationships. They didn't have the time to decide what worked, what didn't, and what would we do differently if we did it again. So there was no inspection and reinvention process in that. But really, sometimes the relationships suffered. So they said, we need to be have focusing on people being our primary objective. And again, where the programs we offer are to support the intentional development of deep relationships. So people matter, and sometimes programs were a hindrance to developing deep relationships. Also, the importance, second key element, was the importance of celebrating the bright spots, noticing and celebrating where God is at work in their lives, in their faith community, in the local community, in the world. But creating a culture and expectation of what is good, what's present, what can we celebrate. Thriving Congregations did a really good job of acknowledging those pieces. So often we don't look at what's present and the abundance, we only focus on lack or scarcity of what's not present. But the Thriving Congregations were intentional about naming the bright spots in life and ministry. Another key element was callings. They realized if people understood that one of our primary roles as a church is to help people discover, develop, and deploy their gifts within the congregation as well as beyond the church walls. That was really important. So the aspect of callings, that we all have them. It's not just the pastor, the priest that's called, that all of us are called to know and follow Jesus. And we follow that in different roles that we might play. I look at it as I'm called as a coach. I'm called as a father. I'm called as a parent. How do we help people name those callings, celebrate those callings, share stories about their callings being lived into throughout the week? So that's important. Another element of the learnings, so we've talked about programs can be a hindrance, focus on the bright spots, embrace and celebrate callings. The importance of unlearning. So often we have developed these programs and they're based on outmoded assumptions or myths that really prevent us from moving forward. And so many times we had to do some unlearning or questioning of process, questioning of assumptions, and realize we need to let go of that before we can move forward. So unlearning was a really pleasant surprise that showed up in the evaluation of this program. And lastly, this aspect of becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, that we were actually helping people begin to move beyond their comfort zones in initiating relationships with other people, in trying something new, to admit maybe this isn't the best way, but the only way you can create that is providing continuous opportunities, starting with leadership, about becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. So we need to give them uncomfortable experiences, even though you might hear people complain about it. If we're going to be a different organization, we need to move people beyond their comfort zones. And then I'm going to give you 2 last ones, actually. So you got a bonus number 6 observation and a bonus number 7. And number 6 would be that you may need to subtract before adding. Most churches, again, realized they had no margins for this stuff. And they realized why we keep programming, doing more and more things. And we had a couple churches where actually they mapped out all the programs and activities they did throughout the year. And they said, I'm just exhausted from reading it. and began to think about what duplicates. Do we really need this if we're already offering that? Do we need to have a Bible study that's year-round, or maybe we do it in different, 8-session sprints and then take a break between the sessions? Whatever it was, but they started lightening their load, doing a little less programming that allowed them, again, then to practice the process of reinvention, the inspecting and prototyping and learning about the results and trying something new. Because they didn't have the margins to do that until they began to actually cut back on their programs. And again, also because of that, because they weren't so busy planning it, they realized that helped us actually foster some deep relationships, because we could linger. We weren't so transactional and productivity driven that we left the relationship building out of the equation. So you may need to subtract before adding. And then lastly, you may need to add more ministries in order to multiply ministry. We have too few leaders doing too many things. We actually need a process for deepening our leadership bench, developing their skills, helping them live into their callings so that we can actually share the ministry more intentionally. So often, and I'll remember an old quote from Ralph Nader says, most the good leaders develop more followers. Great leaders develop more leaders. Because it's the only way that you can make a ministry sustainable long-term is to develop the next generation of leaders. So those are 7 tips, 7 learnings about the Thriving Congregations Initiative.